So, investing in income producing assets, that could be ATM machines, vending. We're dealing with ATM vending here. It could be any other type of vending. I personally like non product vending because it's less labor intensive. I've done the product vending and I found out it's just not for me. I like ATM vending because there's just quite a few reasons that I like ATM vending. Industrial equipment can be income producing assets. I'm not going to go into a big discourse on that. Just know that it's one of the many things you could invest in. Then there's real estate, there's rooming houses, duplexes or fourplexes, and then I say own at least 2 units. So, if you have enough income already, now if you have a minimum wage job, regardless of the credit you might have established and the fact that you might have enough money for a down payment, you might not really be ready to purchase a house unless you're investing in income producing real estate. Income producing real estate. That would be, for example, something like a rooming house, which would be an old house that might have a number of rooms in it that you know you can rent the rooms out. And again, you can find people that will be willing to rent the rooms even before you make the acquisition. Or you can even do this with rent. It's called subletting. You don't necessarily have to buy the house or the property. You can actually rent it. You rent the entire house. Maybe it's a big, older six room house or 6 bedroom house, or maybe it's got 5 bedrooms and another room. You take that one, you make that other room into a bedroom too. You maximize the money you're able to get out of this house, and then you turn it into a rooming house where you rent each room out. You could put as many as 2 people in a room. Okay, in fact, there are government programs, particularly if you're talking about creating a situation for people that are are going to drug rehabilitation or things like that, halfway houses and things, or maybe houses for children that There's all types of situations where you can actually get a situation like that and create a viable income just by creating a rooming house, working with the government, or you can do it individually. Particularly if you find a house that is near a college campus or something like that. Students are looking for that all the time. Now, you could also purchase a inexpensive duplex, triplex, or fourplex. Okay. Now, the reason I say duplex, triplex, or fourplex, that means 2 units, 3 units, or four, is because once you start getting into 5 or more units, that is considered as commercial real estate. Whereas if the same financing that allows you to buy a single family home for the most part, you can also buy a duplex, a triplex, or a fourplex, particularly if it is owner occupied. All right. So, with keeping that in mind, your income, your personal income from your job is not as much of a factor because when you're buying income property, the income you're going to receive by renting the various units out are factored into your personal income. Okay, so if you're able to buy the house low enough in price, and if you're able to charge enough in rent, you could actually theoretically qualify for a loan even if you have very little personal income. What asset do you have? What is the first asset I told you to establish? And that is excellent credit. You have excellent credit. So even if you're earning minimum wage with excellent credit, the money you need for a down payment, and you have a plan, you have a game plan, you're going to be renting out this fourplex. Let's say it's 4 units. You're going to live in one, rent out the other three. Those are the things they're going to look at because the bottom line is they want to know how are you going to pay the mortgage and what are you going to pay it with. And if you can't pay it with the personal income, they're going to be looking at the rental income, and that's just typical. That's just standard. Same thing works with larger units. Most people are afraid of larger units. The main reason I steer you away from commercial real estate is not because it's so difficult, because your personal income becomes even less important. It's just that you need more in order to get into commercial real estate in the first place. And it can potentially be more of a headache when you get into, I mean, that's something you can do as well. But in the beginning, if you don't own anything, you never have, I would admonish you start with something like that. I don't have it on here, but you can even purchase trailers, mobile homes. You can buy mobile homes for as little as $5,000. Find a place that could where you can get the space rent for $200, $300, or $400 a month, and in your area, people might be paying or willing to pay as much as $600 or $700. So you buy an asset for $4,000 or $5,000, which is a mobile home, a trailer basically, and you find a trailer park where you can get the payments as low as $200 or $300 or $400, and then you rent out the mobile home or the trailer for $600, $700, $800, $900 a month, whatever people are willing to pay. That's another thing you can do. Now we're going to talk about flipping. What is flipping? Flipping is when you acquire something and then you turn around and rapidly sell it for more than what you paid for it. It's not necessarily the old adage that says buy low and sell high, because you don't necessarily have to buy low. You don't necessarily have to buy high. All you have to keep in mind is that when you flip anything, is you sell it for more than you paid for it. Okay? First flip deal I did was a car. I was 19 years old at the time. I never even bought the car. I never owned the car. I have a video where I do talk about that. I only made $275, but it was some of the easiest money I ever made. To make a long story short, I had an instructor. I had an instructor who had a car. Not this car, of course. And I didn't know much about cars. I think it was what kind of car was that? I think it was a Buick. I forget what it was. But anyway, I liked the car. And he was selling it for $1,000. I just instinctively knew that the car was worth more than $1,000, a lot more. And I told him, I said, if I can get you a buyer that'll pay more than $1,000, can I keep the difference? He said, I don't care. I just want $1,000. First person gives me $1,000, the car's there. So I immediately put an ad in the Recycler that same day. The Recycler was a local paper in the city of LA that allowed you to put free ads, and the paper would come out every Thursday. And I think it was a Tuesday. I called on Tuesday. I placed the ad, and I made the ad very descriptive, very detailed, and I looked at all the other ads first, and I wanted to make sure my ad was one of the best. I offered the car for $1,275, and I said it is a steal at this price. Again, I didn't know anything about the value of cars or anything else like that. I just instinctively knew that I could do this. So I offered this car for $1,275. The ad came out on Thursday, and on that first day, I got 8 phone calls. Okay? And one of the best ones was an older woman who sounded Caucasian. She was from Beverly Hills, and she wanted to send somebody the very next day with the cash to buy this car. Most of the other people seemed serious, but she was the most serious of one of all. She did not care. Okay? I didn't even have a picture in the paper. She said, as long as the car is what I say it is, this is the year that I say it is, she said she is a car collector. And that car is a classic. I never looked in to find out what it was actually worth, but she just jumped on it. Okay? She said the car was a classic. She was a car collector. She was going to send some kid to pick up the car with $1,275 in cash. As long as the car ran, it drove, and it fit the description, the kid was going to be the final authority. She just said, look, if the car is anything like it's described in this ad, I want it. So I basically told the instructor, look, I've got a buyer for the car. He's going to show up with the money. So when he does show up, I told him, to come to the school, because this was at a school. I was taking some classes, and to ask for me, and then I was going to come and get the car keys and show the guy the car, and then we would do it. The guy came. I went to the instructor. I got the keys. He gave me the keys. I showed the guy the car. He looked at it. He said, good, I'll take it. So I went back to the instructor. I said, okay, we got a buyer. We need to do the pink slip and all that, which I didn't even know how to do all those things. So all three of us sat down. The guy gave me $1,275. I put $275 in my pocket, turned around and gave $1,000 to the instructor. Everybody was happy. Win-win. Quickest, easiest money I'd made at that point. I've made much easier money than that, but at that point, it was pretty good experience to have. That was flipping a car. You can do the same thing, same basic concept I described with anything from boats. If you don't believe it, go on Craigslist. Now, obviously, if you live in the middle of the desert someplace, you probably won't find too many boats, but look for the coastal areas, particularly if you live near one of them. You'll be surprised how inexpensive boats can be. Because boats, like many items, like luxury cars and things like that, they begin to depreciate in price and value from the moment they are sold. So, I mean, you'd be surprised at the opportunities that are out there. And the opportunities are there with boats. Those same opportunities exist with motorcycles and things like that. I would suggest stick with the things that you know. Remember, you have access to cash. Whenever you find a good deal, you can get the money. You can get the money quickly. All you have to do is acquire the product or the merchandise. You can even do it the way I showed you. I just told you, where I never actually bought the car. I just found a buyer for something that was willing to pay more than what the item was selling for. You could do the same thing. Or you could acquire it, because a lot of times when people are really desperate and motivated, they need cash and they need it right now. So sometimes you might have to hold on to the item for a few days or a few weeks before you actually flip it. Bottom line is, you don't necessarily have to buy low and sell high. You buy something at a reasonable price and you sell it for more you pay for it. That's basically it. Okay? If you could buy a motorcycle like this, obviously if it's brand new and you're selling it brand new, why would somebody buy it from you? So what you're doing is you're looking for steals and deals. People that are willing to will a deal, and you're looking for steals and deals. People that really need to get rid of something. They're motivated. And you've got the cash. You've got access to it. Okay? You could just go in and get money just like that, because you've already pre-established the credit you need to get the money you need to do any type of deal you need. So if you can make $500 within just a very short period of time, or $1,000 on a motorcycle like this, why not? Because you're doing this constantly. You're turning money over on a regular basis. You can do the same thing with recreational vehicles. Find a recreational vehicle you can get for like $15,000. Somebody's motivated. Turn around and sell it for $22,000. You just made $7,000 flipping a recreational vehicle. This type of thing is done all the time. And the ultimate flipping is real estate. Real estate. The ultimate flipping. Okay. My brother acquired a property for about $900,000. Turned around and flipped it for about $1,500,000. Acquired it for $900,000. Flipped it for $1,500,000. Now, he did put some money into the, I won't even call it rehab. It was just remodification, because the property was in excellent condition. I don't know why he put any money into it. He could have just turned around and flipped it, because it was when he acquired the property, the seller was motivated to get rid of it, so he got a really good deal on it. They just wanted to get rid of it. Okay, I mean, that is the ultimate flipping deal, is when you can get a really good, especially if it is a luxury real estate transaction. And when it comes to real estate is actually, you'll find more opportunities in real estate than you probably will anything else. Because when people own property, in particular free and clear, and they're not motivated by what a bank expects, because a bank always wants every dime it has into the property. But when there is no bank involved in the deal, a lot of times, because especially if it's a trustee, if it's a house that's a really motivated seller, such as a family that has inherited a property and they just want to flip it and sell it as quickly as they can, and take the money and divide it among themselves. And a lot of times you can get a really good deal that way, or if it's a divorce, or if it's somebody that's motivated for some other reason. Maybe they're a serious don't wanter. Oftentimes, motivated sellers will have property that does need rehab, which is one of the reasons they're getting rid of it in the first place, which is fine. But even then, you don't have to know much to do the work. You just have to have contractors you can trust. Let's move to the next, which is investing in a business. Investing in a business. Remember, you have access to $50,000 to $100,000 that you can get your hands on anytime you need for anything you need it for. So these are some of the things you can do with that money. You can invest in a business. You can actually even go on Craigslist and look for business opportunities. They're out there. You can find them all day long. Opportunities to take as little as $5,000, and presto, now you own a business. You might have an obligation to pay a monthly lease of $800 a month, $1,000 a month, $1,500 a month, whatever it is. But it's not that hard. Just understand that that is one of the things you can do as well, investing in a business. Let me go back to the previous module. Because I skipped over a few things. When it comes to flipping, not only can you flip cars, houses, motorcycles, motor homes, boats, you can also flip businesses. That's right. You find a motivated seller, you turn around, you buy the business, you turn around and flip the business for more than you paid for it. That's the bottom line. That's flipping 101. That's the essence of flipping. You buy something and turn around and sell it for more than you paid for it. Domain names. I had a portfolio. I still do have a nice portfolio of domain names. But the thing is, I started investing in domain names before people understood domain names.